Welcome! Here's a new DEX from the Graphic Design School. My name is Anouk, and in this DEX we're going to take a look at Adobe After Effects. We're going to create a short animation that contains an animated pattern, and it could be used to introduce something like a new logo or as a fun post for Instagram or for your website, you name it. We're going to start in Adobe Illustrator, and I will show you how to prepare your file for the animation, and after that all the work will be done in After Effects. Oh, and below the video you will find the brief for this DEX, so make sure to give that a read before we start. So, as said before, we're gonna start in Adobe Illustrator. Now this DEX is mainly about After Effects, so I'm only gonna show you how to prepare your file before taking it into After Effects. So prepare your file for the DEX by choosing a logo or an icon or some sort of shape or line that you've created before, or create something specifically for this DEX in Adobe Illustrator. So here's a logo that I designed, and I want to create it as an animated pattern for a brand that's called Verloskundige Oosterpark. That's Dutch, but it's a midwife's practice in Amsterdam. So a quick background. It's located close to a park, and that park is named Oosterpark. So the logo icon references the park's nature, which is a nice match with midwife's work, and it matches references the nature via the leaves that swaddle the baby. And the color palette was also inspired by the colors in the park to create a sense of calm, nature, positivity. And the thing is that we also created a pattern with the logo icon, and that was like a fun reference to the huge number of babies that the practice has delivered since it started. I can quickly show you. So we've got the pattern here, not very visible, but you can see it here, embossed on a card. We had it on the back, really lightly on the back of the letterheads. Over here you can see the embossing, the pattern. Let's see, here on the tote bag we used it. We used it on the wrapping paper, on the folder that they use. So I also wanted to create an animated pattern in Adobe After Effects. Now there's one thing you need to know before you take it into After Effects, and that's how to prepare the file. So in layers, you need to think about, you've got like several elements maybe. So before taking it in to After Effects, you need to create layers. So what I've done, I've created one layer for the background, one layer for the logo icon, one layer for the first word, one layer for the second word. So that helps me to easily create different animations for the different elements. Also, just to help yourself, give them really clear names. So later on, especially when there's more than like 4 layers, but even more, it's just easier to recognize what is what. So once you're done and you've got everything ready in layers, you can just save it as a normal Adobe Illustrator file. Oh, one more thing I wanted to explain. It's handy to create an artboard that has the same size as the file that you are planning to create in the animation. So an example, very standard common size would be 1920 pixels to 1080 pixels. Often used on YouTube or on your website. But if you plan, let's say, a square animation for Instagram, like I am, you could already set it up as 1080 times 1080 pixels, and then save it as a normal Illustrator file. There's one other thing that I wanted to show you before going to After Effects, because I made a storyboard, so let's get that one in as an example. Here it is. I created the storyboard because it's helpful to think ahead and like make a plan on what you want to go animate. So this is mine. It's just a quick rough drawing, but I want to start with a green empty background, then introduce the logo, but in a pattern, like I said before, and I want to have the icons in that pattern all turn around. and like so the pattern matches the branding that I created, and that, like the turning, the pattern, I think it gives it a nice festive feel. And then I want them to first fade in the pattern, then fade out, and then leave the one in the middle, while the rest fades out, still rotating. And then I want the icon to move up a little bit to create some space for the name, the brand name that comes in later on, to grow a little bit, and then the last screen will be that the name appears. So that just helps you, once you start in Adobe After Effects, helps you to start creating your animation and without getting lost in all the possibilities. And yeah, it just helps you prepare yourself. Also, a good one is to think about the meaning and the subject of your logo or your branding or your shape, and find ways of animating that fit the brand story you want to tell, or the story you want to communicate, or the feel you want to express. Okay, well, now we are ready to go to Adobe After Effects. Yes, so here we are in After Effects. I just created a new project. If your window looks different than mine, just make sure to set it to default, and then it should look or appear as mine is. Well, we're going to create our first document, and like a document is called a project in After Effects, and in each project there's composition, so it contains one or more composition, and those are the filling of your project. So right now we have no composition, so our project is actually completely empty. So how to make your first composition? There's actually several ways you can do so. Just by clicking here, New Composition. And then you can fill out the name and create the settings. I'm just quickly first going to show you some other ways. You can also create a new composition from footage. We could do that because we created footage in Adobe Illustrator. You can also just double click here in this area, and then also open your files like the one we created in Adobe Illustrator. So there's different ways to do it. Like if you haven't compiled anything yet and you want to create a composition from scratch within Adobe After Effects, which is totally possible as well. We did that in a previous DEX. I think that was week 33. So do take a look at that one as well if you want to find out how that goes. But we created something already. So let's just take it in from here. Click on New Composition from Footage. Here we are. Now I just have to make sure I get the right one in. That's this one. So this is the file that I prepared, that I just shown you, where we already created the different layers for the different elements. There's something you need to be aware of, that you place it in a right way. So here, Import As, you have to adjust this. We're going to adjust it to Composition, Retain Layer Sizes. So if I click on that one, it will retain those layers that we created, and that's exactly what I want. And we want to create a composition with it. Then just click Open, and here we are. We just created the first composition, and this little icon here means composition. It says here as well. Now we can just see, now here are the layers. So that's perfect. There's 4 layers. That's exactly what we created. And these layers you can pull in here. So let's just do that. We have 4. Just gonna select them all, drag them here. Single up. Okay. Wants to know. It's a single composition. Yes. So it wants to know how long. Well, we're just gonna make an estimation. We can always adjust the time later. I think for now we'll just go for 10 seconds. If we need more or less, we'll adjust it. I think the rest is all fine. We're just going to manually adjust all the other elements. Okay, here we are. So now it's all in here. Just let's take a look. So this is our timeline. We've got all the elements in here at the moment, so nothing is animated, but just to show you, this is a timeline. By hitting spacebar, it starts, spacebar, it stops, it pauses. So spacebar is a great shortcut to start, have it play. So we have now 4 elements: the background, the logo, which we don't see because the background is on top, so we're going to adjust that. Poster park. Okay, so now the background needs to be on the bottom because it needs to go to the back. It's like layers in Illustrator. The one on the bottom is on the bottom. So we're just going to select it and drag it down. And now we can see the rest. The background is just this square. I can still move it around, but I don't want that to happen. There's nothing we want to do with the background. So in order to make sure that it won't move around when I select other things, I'm just going to lock it. So here's the little lock icon. So now there's nothing I can do with it. It's just there. Perfect. Okay. Let's see. Now, just gonna adjust the names because they're pretty long. It included a document name. So if you go, oh, I locked it, sorry. First give it a name. Right click on it. I'm gonna rename it. I just want this to be background. Enter. I'm gonna do the same here. The word verloskunde, which means midwives. Only want the first bit. Enter. Rename, right click, rename. Enter. Select, right click, rename. Logo icon. Great. Enter. Now here's a little icon. If you select that one, you can maintain the vector quality, and that's what we want for these. So I'm just gonna select them all. There's also something, we don't need that for this DEX, but I just wanted to quickly show you a way to adjust your vector image. So let's say I've just selected the logo icon. You can see it's selected. Right click, and then if you go here, create, you can create shapes from the vector layer. And right now, sorry, if we just gonna zoom in a little bit. If we zoom in and go to our pen tool, which is over here, you can see all the points. So you could like select it and adjust it like you would in Adobe Illustrator. I'm gonna Command Z undo because it's not what I want, but just quickly wanted to show you. I won't be needing it, so I am gonna delete this layer. If you select it, backspace, it's gone. Okay. Now we know that the name of the brand, we won't be needing it for now. So I'm just gonna select these two, the brand name. You can see they're selected. I'm gonna drag them away. We'll work with those later on because there's no need. Oh, this one needs to go, sorry. Don't know why that came back. Yes, and then where's my logo? Put that back on. So this little eye icon, if you don't want it to be there, you can just close it away like this. Little hiding icon. So here we are. This is like the first bit that I want to use. The thing with creating a pattern is that you actually need to create another composition, which we can use in this main composition to create a pattern. So we first need to make another composition, and I want to find out what the size is that I need to have. I already prepared a file in Adobe Illustrator quickly just to figure out what sizing I need. So I'm just going to get us back into Illustrator. Yes, so here we are, back in Illustrator. I'm sure you're wondering, like, why are we now back in Illustrator? It's just for me to set up or understand what size I need for my new composition. Maybe I could have done that in After Effects as well. I just thought it was easier in Illustrator. But I'm going to create a pattern that looks like this. These are all separate little tiles. And in Adobe After Effects, we're going to build up the pattern from one composition, this one. And then there's an effect that we can use that builds it to the left and the right, up and down. And I wanted to know what it looked like if my composition, the extra one that I'm going to create, looks like this. So I created a smaller icon, 50% is the size of the original. Here it is on a background, a green background, and I wanted to know, like, does it look good like this, and can I still turn the icon around, which is going to happen. Does that fit within the composition size? It does. So I know I need this size. I'm just going to write that down, 240 width, 300 pixels height. Okay, that's actually all I needed to know. So let's go back to Adobe After Effects. Yes, so here we are back. So I want to create an extra composition within the project. So we could do that. Here, do you see that little icon there? If we press that one, we're going to create a new comp. So let's click on it. Great. I'm going to give that a name. Let's see. Source for pattern. So that's going to be the source for creating my pattern. We need that, so we're going to adjust the size. And we just found out what size we need. So I'm just going to say width is 240, height 300. Okay, 25 is fine. It's sort of like the frames per second. It's absolutely fine. 25, you're safe when you do that. Resolution full. Duration, well, I think we're going to create something for, let's say, 2 seconds. We can also always adjust that later. 2 seconds I think is enough. So then we know it's going to turn around the icon in 2 seconds, and then we just can repeat it. Background color doesn't really matter because we're going to place it on top of our green background. Yeah, that's it. Okay, here we go. Oh, I don't want that. Still my pen tool there. Let's put it back here to the selection tool and delete that point that we just created. So we are now in our other composition. We created the size, and now I'm gonna add, because this is empty, it's a new composition, I'm gonna add my logo. So that's this one. We already used it, I'm gonna use it again. I'm gonna drag it in. So here it is. It's too big, and we know we need a smaller one that's like 50% of this original one. Now we could do that by dragging it in here, but I think it's easier to go here, transform, and scale it to 50%. So we know it's the exact size that we need. So there we go, it's 50%. I'm just gonna rename this as well. Don't like those long names. It's logo small, logo icon small. Okay, great. Now I want the, oh, now the effect is gone. I'm gonna scale it down. Why is that? That's weird. Oh, hang on, it's now on the, that often happens, and it took me ages to find out what was going on, but it now got me into this, and I want to go back to the composition. So if this happens, just click on this little cross, and we're back in our composition. Okay. So now we want this icon to turn around. We're going to use the transformation in here. So just click on the little arrow, and then here we see we already used scale. Now we're going to use rotate. So I want it to rotate all the way around, so like 360 degrees. But we need to adjust the timings for that because we want it to rotate within 2 seconds, the 2 seconds that we have till the end. So we're going to use this one. It's like the little stopwatch icon, so we can vary the rotation along the timeline. So we're going to start clicking once, and you can see there's now a little keyframe over here. You can see this one is blue as well. So we created our first keyframe. Then I'm going to drag it to the end. 2 seconds. Is this the end? I think so. Why isn't it on the 2? Okay. And we know that we need to create another time frame. And we want it to turn around 360. And now you can see if you click on it and you drag it out, you can adjust the percentage of rotation that you want to do. So it goes the other way, minus, plus. Now we know we want like 360. Oop. Just type it in as well. Okay. Let's drag the timeline back. Now hit spacebar and you can see what's going on. And it just repeats, so you want to make sure that at the end of the timeline, it's at the exact same spot as at the start. And now it looks like a flow, like an endless flow of. Great. So this is what this is all I need. So I'm just gonna hit spacebar. And we're gonna get this little composition into our main composition. So we are done here. And now I want to go to my main composition. Over here. It's this one. Yep. So this is, I'm just going to rename this one as well. Main comp pattern icon. So this is the main one that we're working in. And this is the one that I want to drag into my composition. There we go. Can't see it because it's now below our background, but I'm just going to lock for now. Source. And this large icon we won't be needing. I'm going to drag that out as well. Somehow this shape layer keeps on going. I don't need it. Okay. So this is the source for the pattern. I'm just going to move it all the way up so we can see it. And here it is there. It's 2 seconds, just like we said we would create. So if I hit spacebar, you can see it works. Okay. But it's not a pattern yet, so we're going to create a pattern first. Okay. And I know, so I'm just going to create an extra layer as well. So this is the first round. I want it to be 4 seconds. But in the first bit, I want the pattern to fade in. So I'm going to fade in. And then I'm going to create one that fades out. So I'm actually, when I'm done, I'm going to create an extra layer for the phase of fading out. But now first, let's just make that pattern. Okay, I've got that one selected. And we're gonna go to Effects and Presets. It's here on the right side. And what we need is Motion Tile. So you can just type in Tile, Motion Tile in here and it searches, and this is the one that we need. So select it. And then while it is selected, drag it over and place it on top. Now you see the lines, so it's activated. Just let go. And there we are. Now we can't see a thing yet, because we still need to like activate the motion tile and adjust the settings for the action to appear. So let's do that now. I'm gonna start, so it works from this one, and you can just see what's happening. So we're gonna output width, adjust it here, output width, and we're just gonna drag it out as far as we need it. We don't have to do it all the way there, we won't need it, and otherwise the file gets so big. So just drag along until it meets the border of your composition, and we're gonna do the same. We just did width for the height. There we are. Oh, a little bit more, I think. Yeah, great. I also want to Let's just first see what we've got, because we just created a pattern. So hit spacebar, and now you can see they're all turning around. So they're all doing the same thing. Great. But I want one of them to move up and down, so it looks a little bit more like this. And we're going to do that by dragging out this one until, I think, 180, yeah. And now we have this. I think that's better. And there's one more thing I wanted to do, mirror the edges. Because now it flips the other ones upside down and it just looks a bit more fun like this. The other one was a bit boring. So now we have it like this. So when you are creating your pattern, play around with these settings, because it really depends on the shape or the icon or the line maybe that you are using, what works best or looks like most fun. So all these settings you can adjust. So this one is now done. And I'm going to rename this one. Gonna copy, paste one more in, that's 2. And that one will start here, exact. So it should continue a bit longer. Great. Now I'm gonna make sure, like now they are all just start off like this. Oh, sorry. But I want it to fade in. So we're gonna select this first one, the first 2 seconds. Click here on the little arrow, and I'm gonna transform the opacity. Actually, just like we did before with rotation, click on the little stopwatch. Opacity is now on 100, but I want it to be 0. Enter. Drag it out to the 2. I think I want it to be full opacity earlier on, not at the end, so somewhere here. We can adjust that later. But now I want it to be 100%. So I'm quickly going to show you what happens. It's a bit fast. Let's move it up. So by clicking on it, you can just drag a keyframe that you placed to another spot in the timeline. Okay. I want the same here. So this is 100% and I want it to move down here and fade out. So let's click on that one, just pulling that one in. Transform. Gonna adjust the opacity. So it is, when shall we start? It's like here 100%. Click on the little stopwatch, got our first keyframe in. I want it to be gone at the end of this clip, so it should be, can place it on 0. You see it's all gone. Great. I know what I'm gonna do. I think this goes a bit too fast, so if I put my timeline there, go back to this one, the one where it starts. I've got the keyframe and I just want it to start a little bit later, so that this animation shortly starts with a just green background. There it is. And now it moves out. Great. Now the next thing that I want to do is copy this one again. Command C. and Command paste. So we've got a third pattern layer, but this is like the exact same. I want because I want at the end, I actually want the middle one, this one, not to fade. So the rest needs to fade, but I want to keep that little one in the middle. So I'm going to create an extra layer here, but I'm going to remove the whole pattern. So I'm going to set that one to 100, that one back to 100. I'm going to just quickly get that one out of the side, so we all know this one back. It should be here. It's not really, is it? Because I want that little icon, only that little one, to be there. So what happened? What happened? Source pattern, that's the one I need, yes. So I just want that one. This one is 10. Details. So here it is. So I've got now that little one that we created at the start. It's just there on its own. And because it's the exact same as the one here, you won't see we have a double layer. So I'm going to place that one back. Just going to do it slowly. So it comes in, opacity grows. Now opacity goes down. But we should remain seeing this little dude. Why is it there? Because probably the opacity is still, yeah, on the 0. So here for that one, I'm going to remove the opacity. So it should just be 100% all the time. Okay, it's always a bit of playing. So let's go back, we'll start again. So it fades in, turning around, fades out. But you can see the middle one still turning. Now I want that one, Command copy, Command paste, to just stay on its own for another 2 seconds. So it looks like it flows on because it's all the exact 2 minutes. So it makes a full turn and then again starts on a full turn. So it still looks like one flow. So let's look again. Here we go. They fade out and this little dude makes one more round on its own. And then, now it seems like it's gone. I'm going to create another layer. I'm just going to close these with the icon, like the exact same spot, same size. And from there it will grow into a bigger icon. So what we need is the original icon, which we have here. This one. Pop it in. I'm just going to move this one up. Just makes more sense. So we can use the order of things, feels more logic. So this is the icon, the original one, but right now it's still too big. So this was a little small and then pops, it gets really big. So I want it to be the same size and I know it was 50%. So this one I'm just going to scale down as well. Put on a little arrow, transform, scale, it's going to scale it down to 50%. So it's the same size as this little one. Great. So let's see how that looks, if it feels. Yeah, cool. Oh, there are the letters, we don't want them yet. So just, let's see, pop this one to 8 seconds. We always can adjust timings. I'm just going to place them around here. Because we have it here, and now I want this little man to move up a little bit to make space for the name and to grow a bit. So what I want to do, I'm just going to place this one here, and we're going to adjust the position and the scale. So the position, we want it to move up, scale, we want it to grow back to that 100%. So let's see, I'm going to drag that one, so it's like this, here I think, to 8, probably here, we'll see. Move it like that. So let's do this one first. So here it's 50%. Just gonna click on that one, set a keyframe. Maybe here we'll have it back to 100. Okay. Yep. And we also want to change the position. Where shall we start? Here. Position. It's here. Keyframe. So you click on this little stopwatch. We can adjust the timings later. I just want to see the effects. Oh, wrong way, needs to go up, so I'm just gonna drag it somewhere here. Okay, hit spacebar, let's see. Great. Now there's another thing that we can do, and that's called easing. And easing is about the speed of an object, so you can use that to make something look more like realistic. Just like when you start running, you start off a bit slow, then you're on full speed, and then before you stop, you start slowing down. And that effect you want to mimic in your animation. And Adobe After Effects has some helpful things to make that happen. So if you just like, let's start with the position. If you can select them just by dragging over them or clicking on one, hold shift, clicking on one, hold shift, click on the other one. Now select it, then right click, and here's keyframe velocity and keyframe assistant. The quick one is just to like click this one, easy ease. So it adds easing at the start and the end to make it more realistic. If you want to have that only at the start, you use this one. If you want that on the last keyframe, you use that one. Or keyframe velocity, here you can manage it yourself and put a certain percentage of velocity on it. Let's do, for example, 70%. Outgoing as well. Click OK. And now it's there. Let's place it. You can see it's sometimes difficult to see, sometimes easier to see, but it's just not a constant line of moving up. I'm sure you can see that here a bit bigger. Oh, now it's a bit too big. So you could see that it was like going slower, fast, and slower. I thought it was a bit too much, felt a bit weird. So I'm just going to adjust it. Right click again, velocity. I think we need to like put it on 40 maybe. It's not a large distance that it's making, so yeah, that's better. And you could do the same here with the scale. Right click. Let's use easy ease right now. So the scale also feels a bit more natural, the way it grows. And there's another thing you can do. Just gonna pull that one in. Over here, there's these 3 little circles, that's motion blur. And that also simulates the effect of movement. That sometimes an object which moves blurs a little bit. And that effect can be mimicked as well, copied. So if you just press on that one, the logo will mimic that blurring effect as well. So let's see what we have now. Great. So now we can get the letters in, which is over here and here. Verloskundigen and Oosterpark. They're not at the right spot yet. So let's just first go those already. Around 8 seconds. Let's do that. So verloskundigen, it's like midwives. Transform. We're going to adjust the position. So we want it to move down. Drag it out. About here. And then we need Oosterpark, Easterpark. Position down a little bit like this. Okay. Yes. Okay. Now I'm just gonna see if I like what we've got this far. Spacebar. Okay. Just little things that I want to tweak. So here it starts growing immediately. I don't want that. So the logo icon, we transformed it. So the scale, this is this one. So this little keyframe here, I'm just gonna drag it out a little bit. Let's see what we've got then. Yeah, and I'm gonna do the same, so just stand still for a really short time. So also the position, I'm just gonna adjust the keyframe a little bit. Okay. I think we can drag these out a bit more so it goes, the move is a bit slower. So these two keyframes, let's see, it's always a lot of trying and seeing what we've got. Okay. Sorry, one more time. Yes, and then we've got these. Okay. Where are we? Just gonna fold icon in this one. So now we've got the last bits here. They turn up at 8 seconds. I'm just gonna end with a really simple animation for the brand name as well. So for the sake of time, I'm just gonna select this one and just have them fade in. So where is the opacity? Set the time watch, place the first one 0. Then let's see what happens if we put it on 1 second, 100%. Select both of them. Keyframe assistant, click. And we're gonna do the exact same for the verloskundige. Opacity, click here, first keyframe. Oh, that's not the right time, sorry. Undo, Command Z. Place that one here at 8 seconds as well. Keyframe 0. Place that here, 100%. Select both. Right click. Keyframe assistant, easy ease. So what do we have? Grow. And there we are. Oh, our logo. Not long enough. Just gonna drag that one out as well. Okay, let's see what we've got. Okay, now there's lots of other things, just really quickly. So if you would, now it's doing the exact same. What we could have first have verloskundige, because it's on separate layers. Let's go here. First show verloskundige and then maybe a bit later show Easter Park. So if I have Easter Park, I'm just going to drag it out a little bit. And then verloskundige, Easter Park, they come at different times. So first the first word, then the second word. You could also play around with, just quickly showing you, the position. So if you want, for example, not sure if it would fit in here, but have it start here, position, and then set a new keyframe and have it move in like this. Also possible. So play around with what fits your icon or logo that you are animating. But this one is ready, so I think the final thing we need to do, before we do that, just always check if everything is ready to go, if it's all set. It's often in the detail, so maybe there's a few things you want to tweak. Just play it for a couple of times and see if everything is okay. But when you're done, you can render it. So let's do that. Spacebar. Okay. File. Where is it? Export, and then, so it's File, Export, Add to Adobe Media Encoder Queue. So that will open another program, a media encoder. And here it is, it's the last one, it's over here. So if you click on here, you can make sure it is placed in the proper file. So I want it, where to go, let's see, oh, this is messy. Introduction of a logo, and then in the final, and we're gonna call this animation, a logo with pattern. Oh, pattern. It will save as an MP4, that's great. So it's ready, and now if you click on this little green play icon, it will start rendering. This is a short one, so it won't take really, really long. Here we are, and it's done. It's blue. So go to my Finder, let's go, Final. There it is, logo with pattern, click, let's check it. And here we are. It still turns, it grows. Yay, we're ready. So that's it for me, I'm done for this DEX. Please don't forget to upload yours via the link under this DEX, because we would love to see your animated patterns. If you have any DEX requests, do get in touch and let us know, and hope to see you in another DEX. Bye!